just as you were saying that, my controller cut out.
Oh,
So.
good. Hello, everyone, and welcome back then to ULC Season 3, Round 5 of the season. And I'm finally back, unfortunately, last week due to illness. I wasn't able to make it, but it's a new week. We've got a new face in the com box. I'm joined by James Casey. Do you want to say hello, buddy? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everybody. And obviously I was here last week with Diablo for the Britain race, and what a great race that was. And hopefully this can be something very similar. We've got a few people missing, but the main guys are here fighting at the front. I'm sure we'll see another great battle today.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Hungary, obviously, a track that is very, very different to Silverstone that we saw last week out. There is very, very few places to overtake around this circuit. Really, you've got turn 1, turn 2, and then potentially a few risky moves here and there around the rest of the circuit. So it's going to be very, very crucial, that people really do line up their overtakes in the correct places. We're just waiting for NLR Evo, hopefully, to actually get in his car. He's once again back in the Sauber for AOR, if I'm not mistaken. So, Tyrrell Limitless sort of just here, sort of not. It depends, really, depends on the week, really. But what would you say, then, are sort of like the key characteristics of this circuit people really need to watch out for when we move into qualifying?
Well, obviously there's that the end of Sector 1, you've got that really quick left-hander uphill, and that's a prime opportunity to A, lose some time in qualifying, and also get your lap invalidated if you are to cut. So I'd say that's a crucial little area. And there are lots of other places where you can extend and invalidate your lap. So people have got to be careful, but in the same respect, they can't be too cautious. They've got to test the track limits as much as possible to get that maximum lap time.
They certainly do. And it is dry, actually, for qualifying for round 5 of the season, which is nice to see for a bit of a change. I couldn't actually recall what the weather was like last week, but obviously it is dry here. It was actually rain in Spain just a couple of weeks back, and that race was once again absolutely fantastic. So we've had 2 good races in a row actually this season, and I don't think, I sure doubt we're going to be complaining for a third fantastic one. I can see already we've got a Force India out on the track. I can see both of the Mercedes there of the Flying Finn, and STSF One also are both raring to go as well in the start of this qualifying session. But I'm on board with the Red Bull here of, I think, well, this is saying it's Axel Bobbers. I'm not 100% sure if it actually is or not. We'll have a look. We'll go on board then with EVR Reynolds here. That appears in the Force India to be the first car out on the track. He's joined by Langman in the Renault right behind him as they come through these first couple of corners. But hopefully, obviously, for everyone, by the looks of it, it should remain dry throughout this whole qualifying session. So what times then, roughly, do we think we're going to be seeing?
Crikey, don't ask me. Well, I think in Tier 2 we were seeing people getting into those 16s, just scraping into that, but I expect in Tier 1 those times to be moved forward another big chunk, probably mid-16s we're seeing will be a good lap time. But these drivers can always either find time in the qualifying session like this, or the pressure can get to them and they can end up being quite a long way off that. But we will see. I would imagine around about a mid-16.
Very, very nice indeed, and I'm sure obviously the whole grid will be very, very tightly packed once more here. But hopefully, obviously when we move further and further on into the race, I'm just going to quickly sort out something on the stream, because for some reason it doesn't want to be showing up for some people, which I'm not too sure why that is, but hopefully I can get that fixed in just a second. Just having a look through. We'll stay on board then with EVR Reynolds as he is currently on his first flying lap of the session. So hopefully, well, according to some people it's saying the stream is unlisted, but it certainly is not, or no one would be able to see it here. So hopefully that's not really too much of a long-standing issue. Sometimes it does struggle at the beginning to make sure that it goes to everyone, which is obviously a little bit of a limitation, but obviously hopefully we can gloss over that and focus on the more important thing, and that is these 17 drivers. Well, 17 now. We've got ESR Mills has joined the session. I'm not 100% sure if he is meant to be here or not, but yeah, we've got 17 drivers here. We are missing a couple of drivers from a couple of different teams. We are missing the Williams next to Trumper Rumper there. Unfortunately, he could not make it to the session in time, as well as, I think, who else have we got that is alone in the session? We've got both BPRL drivers. Let's try and have a look.
Yeah, missing a Ferrari. because there's been a little bit of a problem with the SRL team. They put in 2 reserves, but unfortunately they aren't allowed to race due to ping limits. So yeah, that's unfortunately SRL. For some reason, I'm not sure what really happened, but they weren't aware of that and have ended up not being able to actually fill that second seat.
RG Matiz,
that would usually be RBZ.
Sorry about that. RG Matiz goes up into provisional pole position there with a 16.8, so very, very quick lap, very, very early on into the session. And this is something I've noticed from Matiz in the early rounds of this season. He very much just goes straight in and tries to set a benchmark there, really just sort of proves to everyone else that he is a man to be reckoned with. And as soon as I say that, the Flying Finn goes 1.3 tenths faster there on a 1 minute 16.667. So clearly these two already very, very quick. STSF for Alonso goes on a 117 dead as well, so he is up in P3 at the moment. And then LLR Evo down, well, I say down in P5. Certainly when you look at the roster this season, P5 is certainly not a bad result. But for AOR, you know, in the first few rounds of this season, they have been the team to try and bring it to STSF 1. So I think P5 right now, you know, they really sort of need to be trying to make inroads on that Mercedes lineup of obviously the 2 brothers. But hopefully, you know, we'll see another exciting race between all of those guys. Having a look, then we're going to try and find someone else. EVR Cal, I think, is on a run because I highly doubt 1:27.4 is a good representative from him in the early stages of the session. But yeah, let's try and go on board. Find some drivers going around.
He's another one who's alone.
What's that, sorry?
He's the other one that's alone.
Yes, he is, isn't he, for TWRL.
TRL. TWRL.
That does, yeah, remind me. On board with BPRL Midget. Hasn't had the smoothest start to the season, I think it's fair to say. Obviously, I think the BPRL team is one of actually the only ones left that still has not scored a point this season, and as soon as I go on board with him, he decides he's coming back in the pits. So that certainly won't help him fly up the order in qualifying here. NLR Evo, I was just saying, obviously the P5 was a bit weak. He now moves up into P3 there, 17 thousandths of his AOR teammate there. So that is a very, very strong competitive lap from him. Obviously, the Flying Finn is, well, he's just half a tenth quicker than the pair of them now. So this is looking very, very tight. With SDSF 1 lots of P4, TOR Leopard actually doing a very, very good job. I've raced with him before. He seems very much like one guy that can really sort of hook up a good 1 lap pace, but he is P5 at the moment. What, 4 tenths off the current provisional pole position, but still 6 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Anything can happen, I'm absolutely sure. So it's going to be a case now of making sure you've got free track space. Obviously, if you are a slow car on the circuit, it is very, very difficult to try and find your own space around this track. Obviously, if a car gets in the way through the second sector, you are in very much a lot of trouble, I feel.
Yeah, even if you just come up close to a car, that could be enough with the dirty air just to offset your lap time. So yeah, really tough to get in a good lap round here for multiple reasons, and that being one that can catch out quite a few people. There's most people in the pits now, so people just gearing up for their final run now. It's going to be a busy track.
Certainly, certainly will. On board with extra on Bobbits then, as I think he is on a run. That is ever so slightly wide through turn 4 there. A corner, as obviously you previously mentioned, that you can pick up an invalidation from. It's obviously one of those ones where there is a huge amount of time to gain. So fortunately, Codemasters have been very, very strict with the track limits through there, which is always good to see. You know, we expect to be racing on strict corner cutting, so obviously we hope that is representative around this whole circuit. But Bobbits and Midget, the only 2 drivers actually left to have put in a lap. They're actually 2 drivers that I race and I'm very, very close with in AOR Formula 2 at the moment, but obviously the less spoke about that as of right now. But having a look overall down the order, I don't think we've had too many changes in the last couple of minutes. You can see the whole field separated, obviously excluding BPRL, Jamie, EVR, Cal, Bobbits and Midget, all separated by 1.2 seconds there. Bobbits goes nicely tucked up in the middle there. P7 currently in the session, which is a very, very good lap from him. But I wonder, is he going to be able to get another lap out of that car by the end of the session, or is that just going to be the one run that he's able to get in this session?
Yeah, that looks like that'll be it for him. The car to do another lap, but then his tyres are going to be a bit knackered going into the race. So yeah, I think that probably will be it for him, which is an interesting thing. But if he remains P7, that's a pretty good result.
Certainly will be here, you know, for that Red Bull team. But we're just going on board then. I'm on board with Monkey Face Blaze, actually, who's currently down in P12 at this moment in time during the session. Let's see him go, well, take on board for a lap around this Hungary ring. Braking down in towards T1. I found you basically want to do it just as you come across that white line into T1 there. And I think, unfortunately for him, he has missed that braking point there. I don't know if RG Matiz sort of put him off just ever so slightly there, exiting the pits, but he locked up massively through turn 1, getting it fairly hooked up through the turn 2 apex there. That is quite a good job by him so far. But RG Matiz, well, he doesn't seem to be moving out of the way particularly early there. I think he's finally got out of the way now. I'm not too sure how happy with that Monkey Face Blaze will be, because it did seem, yeah, that RG Matiz sort of probably spent a little bit too much time just in front of him there. But let's move on board then. We'll try and get on board with some of the top runners here. STSF will also the first of the top 4 to go out on what I guess would be his final qualifying run of the session here. How well is he going to be able to do in this race? Obviously, a couple of weeks back at Spain, he was looking set for a really, really good position. But unfortunately, by the end of the race, a couple of small mistakes, a bit of front wing damage really did cost him there. So unfortunately, even after his brother span, he still found himself finishing behind him. As coming through Sector 2. Feisty Ted, 1 minute 17.0, well, 1 minute 17 exactly there, right on the nose. Credits to him, moves up into P4, but we are still on board with STSF Alonso, still in P5. He needs, what, 4 tenths if he wants to move up into provisional pole. And I'm not too sure about you, James, but if you found anyone else around the circuit at the moment that I think we should be on board with, or should we just stay on board with him through these final couple of corners?
Yeah, I think we stay on board with him. He's the first of the major runners to come across the line. Then we should be seeing Finn, Matiz and Evo coming across the line at pretty similar thanks to each other on track.
They certainly will. Out of the final corner, then down towards the line. STSF also goes into pole position even. If I can get the right words out there. That is a very, very quick lap. A 1 minute 16.5 there. That is certainly going to take some beating. You know, that is not an easy lap time to be able to beat there. But if there's one man that's going to be able to do that, that is going to be the Flying Finn. RG Matiz just a little bit further behind. And then NLR Evo. So they're all sort of separated by about 15-20 seconds at the moment. So hopefully we should be able to get on board with all of them for the end of their laps here. But the Flying Finn in through the final corner. Make sure you don't hit that inside wall there. Obviously, he has claimed many a victim in the past. Down towards the line. Will he beat his brother? It is, yes, pole position once more. There are 1 minute 16.3 in that. We are getting into some really, really fast lap times here. RG Matiz through the final corner. Where is he going to go? Is he going to be able to spoil the Mercedes front row lockout? Yes, he does. Pole position. 3 for 3 so far. That is, well, he's 21 thousandths quicker than the Flying Finn there. So that is crazy, crazy close. NLR Evo out of the final corner. Will he continue the streak? No, he will not. Unfortunately, they're just, what's that, 28 thousandths off STSF one answer there. So he improves by a good couple of tenths, but unfortunately only holds on to P4 at this moment in time. And I'm unsure if he might. I think, yeah, he's going for a second run, if I'm not mistaken here. I don't know. STSF one also certainly isn't. The Flying Finn, I think, is... Yeah, the Flying Finn
all are.
Certainly is.
Yeah. Alonso did do another lap. He improved slightly, but not positionally.
Sorry, yeah, I did.
And yeah, most people going for 2 runs.
Yeah, so the Flying Finn through the second to last corner here. He's only got RG Matiz to beat. He needs to improve by 21 thousandths of a second. But obviously these 2 laps are very, very close. That's a huge slide out of the final corner there. Down towards the line. He goes. He doesn't improve, unfortunately, there for the Flying Finn, which is a lot of pressure taken off RG Matiz's shoulders, because obviously his main 2 worries, I would have thought, this race is he comes back into the pits. So I think we've only got 1 of the top 4 still out on their run. As you can see, coming through in towards the final couple of corners here. Will NNR Evo be able to move ever so slightly further up this field? Not many more positions he's going to be able to gain as Tor Leopard goes up into P5. They're very, very close to the top 4. Across the line, Evo does improve and 6 thousandths off. STSF will also, and we're talking, well, inches at this rate. It is that tight between the top runners there, and that is, well, just look, excluding Leopard, who's done a very, very good job to only be a couple of tenths off, no one else is in the 16s at this moment in time. So it really does just go to show, you know, these guys really, really are pushing to the absolute limits to try and move up the order there. I think the final man on a run is Arctic Avenger, has become in through the front. No, he's not on the run. He certainly isn't doing 7th gear through there. Either that or he's going a lot quicker than I ever anticipated there. So, James, I'll let you run through the order then, buddy.
Well, yeah, so we've got RG Matiz on pole, and Flying Finn just missing out there in P2. His brother just behind him in P3, and our Evo 4th position just behind. Tall Leopard doing a very good job in 5th position, and it's just gone off the screen, so we'll have to wait for the full results to come up.
Oh, the timing
it was Feisty Ted who was in 6th position. And then the Amazement in 7th, so I don't think he'll mind me saying, but he's usually not very good qualifier. He's usually a specialist in the race, so that's good for him in 7th. Arctic Avenger in 8th, Langman in 9th. Trumper Rumper, he'll probably be a little bit disappointed in 10th. XRL Boblets in 11th. EVR Reynolds in 12th, EVR Cal in 13th, Monkey Face plays 14th, and then the BPRL guys of BPRL Midget and BPRL Jamie on the back row of the grid.
Yeah, obviously, one thing though we do have to remember this week was obviously where there's only 16 drivers tonight, and obviously the top 10 do score points. Obviously, the standard F1 2017 point system. This does mean that for teams like BPRL, if there's a bit of a pilot, for example, at the start, they could really gain some big points here, which, you know, could face crucial. Obviously, we've seen Trumper get a podium for Spain for the Williams team there, so obviously it is absolutely crucial that these guys really do try to get some points on the board sooner rather than later. But we're almost ready then for the start of this race. Trumper, the first one to ready up there. He's quick and confident in getting this race underway, and this top 4 could be very, very tight. What's Leopard going to be able to do there as well? Is he really going to be able to mix it right at the very top of this little group? Be interesting to see, you know, the Force India being able to get right up there. Russell the feathers of the Big 4 this season. But we're almost ready then on the grid. Ready for round 5 of the season here at the Hungary ring. A very, very picturesque circuit, but I don't think we're going to be admiring the atmosphere today. It is 4 lights, 5 lights for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it is lights out. And away we go there. It appears that everyone seems to have got off to a fairly decent start. RG Matiz going very, very defensive down in towards turn 1 here. Is the Flying Finn going to be able to do anything? Matiz moves back over to the racing line there. And I think they're all going to file in just about in order. They're actually seeing a Renault get squeezed out just a little bit further back there. That was ESR Mills, I think, is now in the race. So as we come through turn 2 and turn 3. RG Matiz leads. The Flying Finn in 2nd there. SCSF Alonso P3. Evo 4th. Feisty Ted moves up to 5th. Leopard drops all the way down to P9 there. This is a bit of contact, I think. Make that extra Bobbert out of the Grand Prix there. Unfortunately, didn't quite get the best camera angle for that, but that is devastating for the Red Bull driver there. That is certainly not ideal. What he would have wanted at the start of that Grand Prix there, but that is very, very frustrating for him to see everyone from 5th down to 9th making up a place there as TOR Leopard drops way down the field there, and EVR Cal Monkey Face plays also losing places there. But everyone else either staying level or making gains at the start of this Grand Prix. That's the Ferrari going massively, massively wide there. That's Feisty Ted. Certainly not taking the race in line through there. But overall, that one nearly done with already. See, actually a little bit further back, we've actually got a little bit of squabble in there. I think that's the Williams of Trumper trying to look up the inside of Langman if there was any opportunity. And Leopard and Reynolds in the Force Indias just behind him. Actually, I've noticed, I think that's Reynolds on a set of the soft tyres there, so he's going to try and go a bit longer. The Toro Rosso behind him of Midget on the medium, so he's certainly going to be trying to go a long way in this first stint of the Grand Prix. And obviously, what do we know then from the strategy around here? Obviously, you've actually just done a race around this Hungarian circuit, so what would you say is the best strategy?
Yeah, I started outside the top 10 and I went soft, super soft, and yeah, I'm not very good around Hungary and I got a good result there. So yeah, I think that for those outside of the top 10, they might be looking to go soft, super soft. Those guys at the front, it's going to be tight between whether they can go super soft, soft or super soft, medium, because obviously they're starting on tyres that have done a few quality.
Oh, just watch Langman.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Almost have a very, very scary moment there and completely barge EVR Reynolds out on the next corner there. He had a very, very scary moment. He's now dropped all the way down outside of the top 10 there, and he could get swallowed up by the two Toro Rosso drivers here, because I think, as you'll fully well know, if you make any sort of mistake in through that sector 2, you basically just set yourself up for a really, really poor run through the rest of the corners here. But moving back up to the top of the field here, we got RG Matiz still leads the way after 2 laps here, and obviously the DRS will now be enabled. 2 DRS zones around this circuit, obviously one right after the other there, so certainly there is the potential for obviously some overtaking, mainly down in towards turn 1, but obviously if you can't make the move there, you do get the DRS once again. Let's obviously focus on making sure your second run is just as good. Flying Finn still in P2 though. I think we're having a couple of tiny connection issues there, but as we can see, NLR Evo all over the back of STSF Alonso. The amazement now is best of the rest, if you will, up in P5 there. So you said obviously he isn't too much of a qualifier, but clearly his race pace is already showing there, but already 2.3 seconds back off the top 4 here. And do we expect them just to be able to rump away like we've seen so many times this season before?
Yeah, I think unfortunately, yes. I mean, I don't like, it'd be good to see everyone in it, but I do think those AOR and STS guys just have a big chunk of time that they can have per lap over the rest of the field. So unfortunately, I do think that it will be those guys running away at the front, but it looks very close between them at least, so we should be seeing a battle there. And as you said, best of the rest is often a very good fight.
Yeah, just having a look actually outside the points right now as ESR Mills picks up a penalty. EVR Cal diving it down the inside of Langman there. Langman on the softer compounded tyres there, on the super softs relative to Cal's soft tyres, is just about going to be able to hold it there. Shuts the door through the next corner. And we've got the first driver in the pits there, Leopard, diving it in, and he's lost a huge amount of his front wing there, if I'm not mistaken. So not too sure when that did happen, but he drops all the way back to the bottom of the field there, and I kind of feel sorry for him. I kind of feel like we may have almost jinxed that for him at the start of this Grand Prix, because unfortunately he has now had a terrible start to this race. Feisty Ted getting very, very close to Arctic Avengers here as they go through turn 2 and through turn 3, but not going to be able to capitalise on that just of yet. So we'll move back up to the top 4 here, and it seems to be turning into, well, 2 groups of 2 at the moment. STSF Alonso is starting to lose touch from his brother, and RG Matiz right at the very top of this field right now as they come through sector 2 here, and this is a little bit unassuring for him. You know what? Oh, he drops it there on the grass and he's spun around. STSF Alonso, that has been a crucial mistake way down the order. He's now going to go. What position is he going to be able to return to the track? It's going to be P10 in the Grand Prix there, and that certainly is not something we see very often this season. STSF Alonso has made a mistake, and that's bizarre. I don't think, genuinely, I've commentated a good few races on him, and I don't think I've ever seen him make a mistake like that before. That is very, very interesting to see. And now BPRO Midget is very, very close to the back of him. So what would you do if you're Alonso in this position? Would you try to go for a bit of an alternate strategy, or do you just have to pick yourself back up and continue the way you were going beforehand?
Yeah, I think you've probably got to do that, because he's only down in 9th. It's not race over for him, so he's got that. I mean, it's going to be tough, almost impossible, I'd say, to get back onto the podium unless there's some kind of major incident. But he's not too far away from 4th, if you think about it, with those gaps, with the pace that he's shown at the beginning of this race. So yeah, I think he's got to stick to what he was going to try before and just hope that he's going to be able to make the overtakes, which is something that is really difficult for him. As you say, he's usually right at the front, consistent, and that's been his strength so far this season, his consistency. So yeah, it's going to be tough for him, but we will see. That
is certainly a plot twist. I don't think anyone was expecting moving into this race, but that moves the amazement all the way up into P4 of this Grand Prix. So if we saw another incident between the top guys, that would leave him on the podium in this race, which I don't think many people would have put too much money on coming into this evening, but nonetheless he's doing a very, very good job at this moment in time. In terms of down the bottom of the field, we've got Tor Leopard still, what, 19 seconds off the rest of the field now, but he might have to try and make a bit of a charge through the rest of the day. 30 laps to go, obviously, in this Grand Prix. We are certainly nowhere near finishing just of yet. We've still got, I think, Flying Finn and RG Matiz, they're still very, very close. 3/10 separate them after the first 6 laps even, sorry, of this Grand Prix. As Trumper Rumper there actually drops down a position. I think that was just a standard overtake made by Mr. EVR Reynolds there. So he's now up into the points, obviously, on those softer compounded tyres there. And just look from the aerial shot there, a fantastic shot actually as we come through the second sector. That Flying Finn, so much more confident than RG Matiz there as they came through those couple of corners there. He gained, what a good, really half the distance, I would have thought. ESR Mills has now left the session. I'm not too sure if that's a disconnect or not, but I'm not even sure if he was meant to be racing, in all honesty. So we'll have to wait and see about that one.
Yeah, he was missing Simon.
We are missing ESR Simon there, unfortunately. A little bit of lag over the mics there, but hopefully nothing too much to worry about. NLR Evo, can he now close down on these two? Will RG Matiz try to slow down the flying fin into him, or do they just need to keep pushing the way they were beforehand? Because this, obviously, with STSF Alonso dropping down the order, this could be a big opportunity for AOR to really make some inroads on this STSF1 team there. RG Matiz trying to break the slipstream as they come down in towards turn 1 there. Goes right from the inside, right back over to the racing line here. As Langman now actually dives into the pit lane there. He's lost half his front wing, so there is no surprise about that. And especially around such a high downforce circuit, you certainly want your whole front... Well, I say that, you want your whole front wing intact basically everywhere this game. It seems to be very, very crucial. But certainly around a high downforce circuit like Hungary, it is more important than almost anywhere else on the calendar. But anything else to report, James? Have I missed anything in this first 20% of this race, or are we still going fairly smoothly?
No, I think we've still got most people running kind of same kind of gaps, not seeing anybody moving through the field in either direction too quickly, so people mostly holding position. But Finn and Matiz, I have to say, after last week, they had that little incident which Matiz was not happy with, I'll be honest, and Matiz is going to be extra aggressive, I think, today. He really wants this win. He was not happy with last week, so I think this fight at the front could be even more interesting than the usual, because there's certainly a lot riding on it, I think, for both these parties now.
That certainly is. And as you rightfully said, RG Matiz comes into round 5 of the season really with a point to prove. The final race before we have a break week next week, obviously, of the first half of the season. And so far, it has very much been a tale between these two drivers. You know, they have pushed each other to the absolute limits week after week. It has been so exciting to see neither of them really willing to give each other an inch in these races. It is so you know, it's very rare you get two drivers that are so close on pace around so many circuits. And obviously the 10 race selection we've got for ULC obviously does promote very, very good racing as well. And it's nice to see, obviously, there hasn't been, you know, any Grand Prix, if I can recall off the top of my head, where it has just been a case of one has completely outpaced the other without anything else going on. EVR Caldo has suddenly retired from the Grand Prix. He has, well, he's dropped it is what he's done there. I'm not too sure if that was contact. That is down towards turn 1, and he's managed to rip the wheel off that was further away from the wall. Not too sure what has gone on there. I presume that's been contact, or he's managed to flip the car over at some point, which I think is highly unlikely at this moment in time. But commiserations to EVR Calder, unfortunate for him that he is now out of the Grand Prix, and the one TWRL driver unfortunately now is no longer in this race. OMG Joe could not make it tonight, so he was the Lone Ranger, as they were wording it, and well, unfortunately now he's not even the Lone Ranger. I think it is safe to say. NLR Evo, though, it must be noted, he is closing this gap to the top two, albeit slowly, albeit surely, but he is closing that gap. Amazement behind is just, well, to put it nicely, he just cannot really seem to obviously match these guys, unfortunately. You know, it's difficult for anyone. I think, you know, you're trying to catch 3 of the top guys on this game, you know, all F1 Esports finalists, if I'm not mistaken, so obviously all very, very quick. They're feisty. Ted just behind picks for 3-second penalty. I can only presume that is for cutting turn 4, or maybe even track extending. But having a look further down, STSF Alonso has moved past Trumpa Rumpa there, so he is already on a fight back. So this is really, really good to see from him. This could be, I think, this will be one of the drivers that we're going to have to watch throughout the rest of this evening, because, you know, if I were him, I think you'd feel all riled up at this point. You know, you've made that mistake, you want to try and make amends, and P4 is still definitely within his reach, obviously, if he keeps his head down and keeps the concentration. But surely, you know, the adrenaline, the anger at yourself almost will be as high as I think you'll ever really see it at this moment in time through the season. Obviously, they do have a bit of a points gap to AOR behind. It's not the end of the world if he does finish a little bit down the order, but obviously these guys really do want to try and keep the consistency up. Make sure, obviously, once you leave on the summer break, that you're still very, very confident in these, you know, as we move into the second half of the season. There are a lot of tyre smoke being brought up by EVR Reynolds just ahead of him there, so that was clearly one very, very big lockup from him. Let's have a look then at overall the pit stops. Obviously, we've only seen the bottom 3 drivers make the pit stops so far. The tyre choices, as I said, very, very interesting early on. EVR Reynolds in P7 on that harder compounded tyres. It does seem that those softs are starting to come into their own just a little bit as we move into lap 10 of this Grand Prix. And I must ask James if I'm right in saying the supers should last about sort of 15 and the softs hopefully, obviously, well, the supers about sort of 13 or 14 and then hopefully the softs quite a few more than that.
Yeah, it would be 15 obviously if they started on fresh supers, which no one did. Everyone outside the top 10 started on something different. So yeah, it'll be about 13 because they mostly did 2 runs in qualifying 2 laps. So yeah, around about 13. Then it'll be interesting to see what they do. Will they go mediums? Will they go softs? With such a close battle between Finn, Tiz, and Evo, that could be a real key point whether they get their tyres.
STSF1 Alonso, though, dives into the pits as well as Feisty Ted here. So interesting. Different, you know, that's a lot shorter than either of us really expected them to go in this race. So are they going to move on to the mediums? I think STSF1 Alonso certainly is. The Feisty Ted, though, he moves on to a bit of the mediums as well, but it's showing the softs. I'm going to guess that is the medium tyres here. So they come out behind it, BPRL Midget there, who is also on a set of the mediums at this stage of the Grand Prix. So obviously we've now got the top 5 still on their set of soft tyres here. It's going to be, could STSF and Alonso try and capitalise very, very quickly in this session and really try to move past Feisty Ted over these next couple of laps, or is it just going to be a case of slowly trying to make sure he does gain that time? But in my opinion, you know, I'd really try and stretch the supers out a bit more and then move on to the soft tyres. So I can only presume that is what EVR Reynolds and the BPRL JME are trying to do at this stage of the Grand Prix. As I say that, go on board with EVR Reynolds. He is now all over the back of Arctic Avengers. So potentially these tyres are starting to come a bit more into their own as the Flying Finn also dives into the pit lane there. So if I'm not mistaken, this might be the first time all season we've seen AOR lead a 1-2 here. Obviously it won't necessarily stay the same, but could we now see the Flying Finn get the undercut on RG Matiz?
Yeah, I think that is an option. He's going on to the medium tyres. It's all about whether he comes out in free track, and I think he will because most of the people behind him are pitting as well. So I think this has worked out well for Finn. Yeah, he's got the free air, so it was really close. So he's got to push now, but it's looking good for an undercut. Will Matiz respond, or will he go longer and try and do something a little bit different with the strategy now?
That is certainly the question that will be asked, and obviously he's got 2 options, as you rightfully said. Does he now pit in and try to watch for that undercut, or does he just try and play his own race, drag those tyres out a couple more laps, move on to a set of the soft tyres maybe, and then obviously have the pace through the second half of the Grand Prix? I know it's showing on the Flying Finn's car that he's on the softs, but if I'm not mistaken, he is actually on the mediums. We're going to trust the graphic. We're going to trust the race director over the car graphics overall. But NLR Evo only 1.1 off his teammate there, and STSF Alonso picks up a 3-second time penalty there. Not too sure that was all about. He might have just ran wide through one of the corners there, but that really, could really play against him towards the end of this Grand Prix. I wouldn't say, sort of apart from Turn 4, Hungary is a notorious track for time penalties, so he's really, really got to start watching it here as he runs a tiny bit wide out of the end of the second sector there. And there's a little bunch of 3 cars just ahead of him. Obviously, he's really got to try and make sure that he does close up the gaps to the cars just up the road here. Feisty Ted, we've got Feisty Ted, the Amazement, and BPRL JME, who's sort of holding up this little train almost, if you will, at this moment in time, who's still trying to hold on to P6 at this moment in time. Obviously, if the race ended like this would be huge points for the BPRL team there, but obviously they've still both got their pit stops to make in this Grand. Good. Yeah, it was getting a little bit
distorted on the last.
Sorry about that, everyone. A tiny momentary Wi-Fi blip. Hopefully, it can sort of pick itself up once again. Is it going to? We can only pray at this moment in time. Unfortunately, the last couple of days of actually getting Wi-Fi put in, so it is still being a little bit sensitive to trying to make sure that actually, which is very, very frustrating. I can only apologise for that for everyone in the stream, but hopefully it can pick itself, well, drag itself up from its knees once more, and then we can continue with the stream. Hopefully well, it should hopefully now be sort of stabilised itself. But EVR Reynolds currently leads the way. Then obviously after the pit stops have been made, the Flying Finn moves up into P2. And then hopefully we can see RG Matiz P3. NLR Evo P4, BPR Midget 5th. STSF Alonso all the way up into P6 now. He has made that move on Feisty Ted. So this is still looking good for these guys. But what is OBS? OBS is having a nightmare. I can only apologise for that. Feisty Ted still right behind him there. Potentially could spoil, obviously, STSF Alonso's cutback through the field. But hopefully we can get back in.
I'm sorry if you covered this while I was on the issues with the party. But what happened to the amazement?
What has happened to the amazement? Actually, he's come down. He's stuck. Well, I don't know if he's stuck. Yeah. It looked like he was stuck for a second. But,
yeah, he came into the pits with wing damage. I think he must have had some kind of a delayed stop as well. But yeah, he had a big chunk of front wing missing, which has cost him dearly, unfortunately, from what looked like a very good position.
Yeah, unfortunately, that certainly has cost him there. I think we're still getting... Hopefully the stream is sort of stabilising itself once more. We can only hope. I think, hopefully, it has done. But yeah, we continue now. RG Matiz actually sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix there, so clearly still trying to pile on the pressure. But still, we continue on with this race. Obviously, now the Flying Finn, he's in a bit of a... Well, they've basically had a role reversal now, is what they've had there. Because, obviously, now he's been trying to attack this whole Grand Prix, and now he's trying to defend, probably between now and the end of the race here. See, RG Matiz obviously should... Well, if he's going to have to make that move... If he's going to make that move, then obviously he's going to have to do it soon, because obviously the Flying Finn's mediums should be able to take him a little bit longer in the race. But obviously we shall wait and see about that. Obviously he's got NLR Evo as well, so this could really work out quite nicely for the AOR team, obviously, as EVR Reynolds there is now very much starting to cause a bit of a train in this race. So what is going to happen here? The Flying Finn goes down the inside there. EVR Reynolds shuts the door on that one, so he does hold on for now, as RG Matiz is now all over the back of the Flying Finn as well. What is going to happen here over these next couple of laps? Amazement retires from the Grand Prix there. Unfortunately, we can't go on board with that as of right now, as RG Matiz and the Flying Finn are very, very close. This is giving Evo a perfect chance to close up the gap as well. At this moment in time, is the Flying Finn going to be able to make a move down the inside in towards turn 1 there? RG Matiz really just going to try and hope that he can go through as well. I think EVR Reynolds there has let all three of them through in the end there, so that has really closed up the gap between the top four. But then obviously now EVR Reynolds has dropped behind, so this has left the Flying Finn under a huge amount of pressure. They're side by side as they come up the hill down in towards turn 4, though the Flying Finn does hold on for now, which is obviously crucial for his race. He needs to hold these guys back until their tyres go off. But obviously for AOR, this could be a 1-2 in the making. These next couple of laps are going to be absolutely race-defining here. What is going to happen at the top of this Grand Prix? EVR Reynolds has certainly played his part over these last couple of laps, and I think this is going to get very, very interesting. I think you can agree, James.
Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to see, really. The field all close together and a bit of different times to really spice things up. So, yeah, this is going to be absolutely crucial for Finn. I'd say he's probably got around about 10 laps where those softs will be quicker, and then those mediums will start to play into his hands. So he's got a lot of work to do over the next few laps. This is going to be really tough for him.
It certainly is. And obviously, I'd say RG Matiz and NLR Evo. Oh, as Matiz goes for the move down the inside in through T1 there. He's going to have the outside for turn 2, but he is going to get that Sauber car all the way past the Mercedes. What is Flying Finn going to be able to do? Matiz goes very, very defensive, but runs massively wide there. The Flying Finn shuts the door on the exit of the corner here, and Evo could get involved with this. He just holds back for now, obviously. I don't think he wants to try and rustle RG Matiz's feathers just yet at this moment in time during the race here, but this is getting very, very tight. As we said earlier on, RG Matiz comes into this race with very much a point to prove, and I'm sure he would not like that from the Flying Finn. Just completely shut the door there, slid the car back around and just got at the inside and absolutely parked it on the exit of the corner there. So this is going to get very, very heated over these next couple of laps. Obviously, we hope for both of these guys they can both keep it safe, clean, and sensible as well. But sometimes, you know, getting the elbows out is good to see as well. A bit Max Verstappen-esque, if you will, obviously. But through the final couple of corners there, Leopard picks up a 3-second time penalty there for track extending. So that is not ideal for him. But this battle at the front is getting very, very tight, very, very congested. But hopefully we can see RG Matiz once again trying to look down the potentially down the inside in towards someone. Then no, he cannot. The Flying Finn holds on for now in the race lead. But RG Matiz, though, he tries to go right around the outside there. Finn completely shuts the door there. These two are certainly getting their elbows out at this moment in time. But the Flying Finn, once again, is able to just about hold on to this race lead here. And this, well, this is obviously something that a lot of people really want to see there. But RG Matiz weaving, I'd only guess, in anger there. He is not happy with the Flying Finn's defensive manoeuvres as of right now.
Yeah, 100%. That's last week. That's what Matiz was not happy with Finn about, being pushed just a little bit off the road. And that is going to be getting the aggression levels even more up for RG Matiz. This is going to be a fight to the death, I feel honest. He's really, really up for this now. He's desperate to get through. And this fight is literally gloves off and no rules.
This certainly is becoming very, very aggressive between these two. But as we come through the final couple of corners again here, are we going to see the same thing once more? Are we going to see even more aggression between the pair of them here? RG Matiz takes a little bit more wider line. Going to try and give himself a bit of a better run out of the final corner there. Slingshot himself towards the Flying Finn there. Finn, once again, obviously going to play it defensive down in towards turn 1 there. RG Matiz goes right to the outside there. The Finn comes back out to him. He's going to try and get the switchback move there. Is he going to be able to make it stick? They're side by side down in towards turn 2 here. I think Flying Finn still is just about ahead round the outside of turn 2. RG Matiz tries to go there. Even more contact between the pair of them there. That RG Matiz kicks up a tiny bit of dirt as he gets squeezed out wide. And that is certainly not ideal for him, as NLR Evo must just be sat there going, can I ever go? Or will he just want to sit back and just watch these two and hope potentially that they come together and he can move through quite safely?
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking that's what he's doing already. I can't be certain of it, but I would have thought he would have stuck his nose in somewhere by now. But I think he's playing the team game. I think he's thinking there's no point in me attacking Matiz because then his chances are gone. So I think he's playing the team game, and he'll be hoping, obviously, that he can follow Matiz in getting past Finn. As Matiz looking from around the outside everywhere we go now, he's having a look at Flying Finn.
And that is a huge piece of front wing damage I've just seen fly off RG Matiz's car there. It didn't seem like a particularly big amount of contact, but surely now, you know, he's still obviously fired up massively. But NLR Evo has probably got a bit better tyres, obviously. Although he did pit that lap earlier, he's not having to push as much as these two at this moment in time. But RG Matiz has lost a huge chunk of his front wing there. That is certainly not ideal for him. That is a lunge. Oh my lord, that is something else I've just seen there. NLR Evo, as we just said, now moves, well, he's able to get past them both. Absolutely safety there. The Flying Finn sends one back, returns the favour. This is something on another level from these two drivers there. And the Flying Finn once again holds on to P2 there, as NLR Evo picks up a 3-second time penalty. So he now needs to absolutely run away as much as possible here. But this is certainly getting almost out of control between these two at the moment. Obviously, RG Matiz must be mad that he's now got that front wing damage there. It's really, really cost him here. But NLR Evo, get your head down and absolutely run, mate, because you do not want to get involved with this when you don't need to be.
Yeah, Evo's got to hope that Finn and Matiz carry on fighting each other, because that 3 seconds is going to be really tough to pull out, especially at the end of the race where Finn's tyres start coming back into play, when because obviously Evo only pitted 1 lap after on soft. So yeah, he's got to really hope that Matiz carries on fighting with Finn, but I think he's going to struggle with that front wing damage. I think Finn is now creating a bit of a gap. It has cost Finn the lead, but net he gets it back. So out of all of this, it's actually worked out well for Finn. More weaving down the straight. I think they're both angry now. It's not just Matiz. I think we've got 2 very angry drivers now, and Oh, crikey, the podium interview is going to be interesting, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I don't.
If they make
Yeah, I
it.
certainly. Well, that is very much if they make it to the podium here. This is certainly getting very, very heated. One of the most heated races I think I've ever seen. Obviously, by two top guys as well. And obviously, they both want to be scoring as many points as possible. So for people like Reynolds, who I still don't think I don't think he's made his first pit stop yet, has he? If I'm not mistaken, no, he has not.
He's going super soft.
So for SDSF
yeah, he's doing what?
He's now back in a provisional P4 in this Grand Prix, but this is getting crazy almost. So but the question is though, do we we reckon he should pit and just go on the super softs and push back up to P3, or what do you reckon he's just got to try and hold on for the P3 now, running very, very wide out on towards the final sector of the lap? But this is, well, I'd say he's dug himself a hole here. I don't think he's really been doing all the digging. But this is certainly not going well for him at this moment in time during the race. What would you do if you were in his position?
I think he's got to stay out. He'd lose too much track position. We see Reynolds coming into the pits now. I think Reynolds is going to be around 8th or 9th, and it would be similar position for Matiz. So I don't think that's an option. I think he's got to hold on and hope that something similar happens between Evo and Finn from what happened between him and Finn. But yeah, not great for Matiz, unfortunately. He's not going to be happy about this race if it carries on like it's looking.
Yeah, he certainly won't. And obviously, for him, he's sort of got two options here. He either just soldiers on, or he prays to NLR Evo that he drops back, tries to hold up the flying fin so he can get back close to him. But yeah, I highly doubt that's really going to happen. For Air One now, they've effectively obviously won some points out of this. Obviously, where they were second and third, now they're first and third. So overall, in an odd way, this has sort of worked out well for them. That is obviously if NLR Evo can try and hold this 3-second gap to the flying fin just behind him here. Now, everyone in this Grand Prix has made a pit stop there. Leopard makes his second one of the day there, but I presume he's gone into a fresh set of the super soft tyres here as we come through the second to last corner. And we'll just have a quick flick through the rest of the field there. As I said, SCSF Alonso P4 of this Grand Prix. Feisty Ted in the Ferrari.
Oh, Ted
has just had a skirmish there. His Arctic Avengers loses front wing. EVR Reynolds, is he going to make it 2 for 1 here? He goes down the inside of Feisty Ted there. Arctic Avengers goes past him as well. And, well, EVR Reynolds, he's only dropped 1 position after making his pit stop, so certainly this is going quite well for him, but no idea. Feisty Ted, obviously, with the grass on his tyres. This is not looking ideal for him. Arctic Avengers has got front wing damage from that, so he's going to be able to come right back at the Haas driver here, down side by side, down towards someone here. Haas versus Ferrari. Obviously, in real life, they've got the same power unit, but Feisty Ted on the inside, he's got a full front wing as well. Should be able to move back up into P6 of the Grand Prix, as obviously EVR Reynolds has been able to make it 2 for 1 there, up into P5 for the Force India, and that is really, really good for those guys once more in this race. SDSF Alonso may have, well, potentially, he could close that gap down to RG Matiz. Obviously, he won't know, well, he probably will know, sorry, about how much damage he's got, but a second a lap is a very, very tall order here. Not impossible, but still something, that is a little bit unlikely to happen. 11 laps to go of this Grand Prix. We're just over 2/3 of the way there, and this race has been one of the most exciting in some ways that I don't think anyone really expected here. On to lap 25 we go, and NLR Evo is still our race leader here. The gap, 1.3 seconds, so he really, really needs to try and build up that gap and just try to pray that the Flying Finn here lose that a bit more time to him. Because at the moment, unless we see the Flying Finn get a penalty, it is still looking like his race to win based on that 3 seconds for poor NLR Evo. As Reynolds sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, though I'm not too sure.
Does have.
I think we're having a little bit of
It does have a few more.
Flying Finn has now picked up a time penalty, so it is all back on. So this has been, well, a godsend for Evo there, because Flying Finn now has, well, he's leveled the playing field once more. So, well, potentially, if these two hold each other up, RG Matiz, if, obviously, we're talking very much hypotheticals here, but NLR Evo could hold the Flying Finn up, RG Matiz could stay a couple of seconds back, and, well, he could win that Grand Prix again if he doesn't get a penalty. I'll just have a quick check on the old race director. Evo has, yes, got 1 penalty. Finn has, yes, got 1 penalty. RG Matiz has 1 warning, so could we see some more games being played by AOR here? We shall have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on when if Evo and Matiz are in a party together, because that could play into their hands if they are, because they could play the team game here, as you say. But well, it gets a bit dangerous then when you've got someone purposely holding someone up. That's when things can go horribly wrong, because obviously it's so artificial. But that could be a tactic they deploy if Evo's got the confidence to make sure that he can stay in front.
Certainly does. And I think for Evo, really, obviously he knows Finn's got that time penalty now. They're on a completely level playing field. But hopefully we can wait and see about that one. I would have thought he'll probably just try and take it right through to the very end. We've got Trumper Rumpa, though. I did see him picking up a time penalty just a second ago. This seems to be one of the closest battles actually on track right now. He's just behind Arctic Avengers here, but I think Tall Leopard on that set of the super soft tyres here is closing down on BPRL Midget here. BPRL, obviously one of the only teams left to not have scored a point this season, so 10th place. This would be enough for Midget here, but he's got 9 laps to try and hold back TOR Leopard here, and this could get very, very interesting between the pair of them in the last dying laps of this Grand Prix. Trumper Umpa all over the back of Arctic Avengers here. He's on a much quicker compounded tyres, and Arctic Avengers has also got front wing damage, so hopefully this doesn't make... well, I would have thought it's not going to be too difficult for Trumper Umpa. He's gained a huge amount of time over the space of this lap. He's really just got to sort of just make his move when he needs to. He doesn't need to take any risks just right now. He can sort of just bide his time. Make sure that he doesn't get any front wing damage. They're very, very close to the back of the Haas car there, as I think Arctic Avengers goes oddly defensive into the final corner. Not something that I've seen many people deploy before, but obviously it's worked for him there. Trumper Rumper has dropped back ever so slightly, but he will have the slipstream. Has the DRS. Avengers goes very, very defensive down in towards turn 1, and I think we're going to see Trumper Rumper try to sweep it right away around the outside there. It'd be a good move if he's able to get it done. Gets on the power nice and early, and I think that is going to be P7 of the Grand Prix. They just about slots it ahead of the Haas driver there, as we got Langman just behind in shot, but it's getting very, very tight. Midget and Leopard here. I think Midget's going to try and go for the switchback move on the Force Indy there, but I think Leopard's made it work for now, and that moves him back up into the points of this Grand Prix. One of the only drivers actually to have made the 2-stop in this race, due to obviously a couple of issues for him at the start of the Grand Prix. So still to be in the points. Obviously he was 5th in qualifying there, but still to be in the points is probably not too bad a day at the office for him. In terms... oh, I just saw someone running the
But he's got time penalties.
He does have time penalties as well. Does Midget have a time penalty?
Yeah, no, Midget has nothing, and Leopard has 2 penalties and a couple of warnings as well. So it's going to be really tough, because he's got to pull out at least 6 seconds, possibly 9. So that's something to keep an eye on. Still a chance here that BPRL Midget could pick up BPRL's first point.
Certainly could. Just having a look back now, we've got Langman, Arctic Avenger and Trumper Umpa all in a very, very tight battle here. 3 different drivers from 3 different teams here, all wanting to try and make sure they get as many points as they possibly can here. Not really too sure how Trumper Umpa was able... sorry, I don't know. Obviously, I've only guessed that Trumper Umpa made a mistake to lose back all that time that he had gained. But now I think Arctic Avengers is on the inside, but he backs out of the move from Langman. He swoops right around the outside, up into P8 of the Grand Prix, and Arctic Avengers now was really, really going to try and hold on for that 9th place in this race. He's got a 15-second gap to Leopard. Obviously, he's got penalties as well, so it is absolutely crucial to make sure that obviously he can try and hold on to those 2 points. Feisty Ted in a bit of a... well, he's a bit in no man's land at the moment. Finds himself second, 7.5 seconds off the car ahead, 7.5 ahead of the car behind there, so he probably is just going to have to bring that Ferrari home. EVR Reynolds obviously doing a very, very good job here to be closing up. Well, I say closing up, he's kept the gap fairly consistent to STSF Alonso, who's done quite well to move all the way back up into P4 of this Grand Prix. 6 laps to go. The Flying Finn just still 1 second behind NLR Evo, and I'm sure this, roughly about now, will be the time where his tyres really do start to come back in of their own against the softs of NLR Evo. Obviously, they will have done testing for this. They will obviously know what strategies they want to go for. They should know how well the tyres will last. As BPRL JME retires from the Grand Prix. That is once... Oh, he seems like only gets to have dropped it on the way out of the corner there and gone for a very, very long way down the wall before he has retired there. But, yeah, unfortunate for him. Moves... Well, he was, I think, running in P12 there, so a little bit frustrating for him, but he wasn't in the points there. His teammate was slightly ahead of him anyway. But always ideal, you know, to try and make it to the finish. And now, for the first time in quite a few laps here, the Flying Finn has brought that gap back down to under a second to NLR Evo here. And this is something, obviously, we haven't really seen too much this season. NLR Evo trying to defend from the Flying Finn. He sort of found himself usually just a bit behind these guys. And obviously now it is crucial that he tries to get ahead of them as they come in towards the final couple of laps of this Grand Prix. But obviously, what NLR Evo, do you just think, you know, he's got to absolutely park it now, or does he try to still just push as much as possible and hope his tyres don't fade by the end?
Yeah, I think with this few laps to go and still a little bit of a gap, I think he's going to carry on pushing for a while. I think it's still a few laps away from parking the bus. I do think that Finn's going to get right up behind Evo, but he's got to try and reduce the number of laps that he's under attack from Finn, because as we know from Finn, what we've seen so far today, he can make some pretty aggressive moves, and so far in this race they've paid off for him. Obviously there was that little bit of contact, but he did eventually overpower Matiz, so Evo's got to be careful not to leave himself too under attack with a few laps to go.
He certainly does. Having a look actually for something that we don't really look at too often in these races, partly down to because I sort of forgot the feature was there, I won't lie, but NLR Evo still has got 1.5 laps worth of spare fuel in that car, so if he needs to flick it into Rich, he certainly can do so. Flying Finn behind, only got 0.7 laps of Rich fuel. RG Matiz behind him, half a lap of spare fuel, as Tor Leopard picks up his third penalty of the day. I feel that...
Oh, but Midget picks up another one.
Midget picks up another one, does he?
Yeah, so Midget, having not had any, has just picked up one just when it looked good for him. So yeah, it's now 6 seconds that Leopard needs, and he's actually got that pretty much. So I think people are just going to miss out on points again here. This is so disappointing for them. They've got to hope there's an incident in front of him.
He certainly does. I remember actually back in Bahrain with just 2 corners to go of the Grand Prix. Midget was set for the first point for BPRL. He ran just a tiny bit wide, picked up a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately. It was just not meant to be. It's crazy how close these guys seem to come without able to score points so far this season. But the Flying Finn, he has turned it back up to 11 here. We have got, what, 3 and a sector laps worth of this race to go, and the gap now is back down just 0.5 of a second here. NLR Evo, he is now really obviously feeling the pressure. He's got to do absolutely everything within his power to keep this Mercedes car behind, to really sort of, you know, just prove, because he's sort of been very much the number 2 driver this season. This is a golden opportunity for him to absolutely show what he is made of. He did it in F1 Esports way back. I do remember when we did that series, he did really well there to sort of, well, he basically just was very consistent and ended up actually, if I'm not mistaken, coming through as the top AOR Xbox One driver. So he's clearly very consistent in these cars. But as we come through in, well, just 3 laps to go of this race, the Flying Finn, obviously notorious for being, well, one of, if not the fastest Xbox driver. He is, well, I've seen it before, and I'm sure we'll see it again. When he turns it up to 11, there is very little anyone is going to be able to do to try and defend from him.
Yeah, it's going to be a mega last few laps. I get the feeling. I wonder if Evo, is he going to have that same kind of like aggression that Matiz had towards Finn? Is he going to really want to do it for his team? I think that's what it's going to come down to, because this is going to be another really big fight. We've got Trumper in problems here. He's dropped down quite drastically. He's lost his front wing, which moves BPRL into the points now. Midget has got that point. He's going to move up now, so BPRL will get a point.
Let's not jinx it too early.
They've got a big gap to the car behind. Yeah,
he could very easily do exactly what his teammate did just a couple of laps ago, but NLR Evo...
lost his wing as well.
Oh, sorry, what was that, sorry?
Langman's lost his wing as well, so it was obviously a collision between him and Trumper, not just Trumper losing it by himself.
Is that a spot of rain I see on our screens? Or is that just me hallucinating?
Yeah, it is raining as well,
It certainly is.
No, it definitely is.
I can make sure my eyes are not deceiving me just yet this early on in my life, but hopefully, as we can see, these obviously 2 laps to go, it shouldn't really make too much of a difference here. But obviously, the harder compounds do generally work better in the wetter conditions when it's sort of changing around. Flying Finn's got much better tyres, I would have thought. They're in much better nick than NLR Evo, so this could be very, very tense in these final couple of laps of this Grand Prix. What is the Flying Finn going to be able to do? Evo needs to just keep his head down, go defensive where he needs to, and then just focus on making sure that he doesn't make mistakes through a lot of this lap. But obviously not many places to be making the move, so only a couple of real sort of points where he needs to make sure he does focus on. It does seem to be raining quite heavily all of a sudden there, so this could potentially play a bit of a part in the final couple of laps of this Grand Prix. We will have to wait and see. But BPRL Midget now moves up into P9 there as Langman makes his second pit stop of the day. They're not exactly ideal for him with just a couple of laps to go of this Grand Prix. He's going to come out of the points there, which means Monkey Face plays to the points. So could Langman be the only driver here to finish the race and not, pardon me, then not be able to score points? We shall have to wait and see. But less than 2 laps to go of this Grand Prix. And as of right now, Evo is just about doing everything that he needs to do to try and win this Grand Prix. But as we come now through in towards the second sector, would you say, James, obviously in the slightly damper conditions, obviously the dirty air will really start to cost the Flying Finn, or should it not really make too much difference? Is it more about just being on those fresher tyres?
Yeah, I'm not actually too sure. I think generally I would see it as a levelling the playing field between the tyres, because obviously it just takes that grip away from everyone. So I think, if anything, I think it will help Evo. But if he makes the slightest of errors, Finn's going to be able to come through. So, yeah, 1 lap to go. It's looking good for Evo, but if these conditions get worse, it's going to be a bit of a tippy-toe last lap, which could make it very, very tough for him.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a very, very exciting final lap. Obviously, we see races like this generally more at like Spa and Silverstone. Hungary, not one to usually have particularly changeable weather, but as we move on, 1 lap to go of this Grand Prix. The rain is really starting to come down now. These guys, obviously, neither of them can afford to pit. It's probably not into these conditions, and they can't afford to lose out on a good 15-20 seconds here. But yeah, Evo still just about holding on to the race lead here. He's got half a lap to go of this Grand Prix, and the Flying Finn is doing everything within his power. Try and force that error, try and force that mistake from the Sauber driver here. Not often we've seen these two battlers, the Flying Finn, so close as they move up through turn 4, and now really he's probably now going to have to hold out until we get in towards the final sector of this lap, unless he can force the error. Let's go on board with NLR Evo's car on board here, looking behind at the Flying Finn, almost pushing him through this second sector of the final lap of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Round 5 of the season, like we've said so many times, is coming really down to a climactic finish here. The Flying Finn seems to have that little bit more grip here as they come through the final sector. He misses the apex ever so slightly there. NLR Evo gonna have to go a bit defensive. Flying Finn tries to make the move on the outside. 2 corners to go there. Evo does squeeze him out wide there, and that potentially could be enough for him. He runs a bit wide through the next corner there, able to park it just in front of the Flying Finn here. Not really going to be able to make any lunge through the final corner of the Grand Prix. But NLR Evo, we've never said it before so far in ULC, but he is going to come through to win the Hungarian Grand Prix there. Massive amount of respect to him there. He's really proven himself that he has got the pace to really fight RG Matiz and this Sally and Sonic there. Out of the final corner though, RG Matiz, a very, very frustrating P3 for him at the end of the day. STSF and Alonso, even more frustrating for him, I'd imagine. P4 in that Grand Prix. AOR, albeit it's not going to be major, they are going to make inroads on that STSF1 team, and they can obviously go on the break ready, feeling quite comfortable with their performance right at the very end. Feisty Ted, as we said, had a very, very lonely finish to that Grand Prix, coming through in P6 there, with Tall Leopard actually on that 2-stop, doing all right in the end to make it up into P7 there. Still, obviously, what could have been, I think, is the right way to describe that race for him. P7 for the Force India driver there. Arctic Avengers coming through in P8, but one driver that I want to get on board with is BPRL Midget there. Through the final corner he goes. He is going to take home BPRL's first points of the season. They're so well deserved for those guys, and I'm sure they'll be very, very happy with that, hoping they could try and score more in the second half of the season there. But credits to everyone there, James. That was certainly one of the best races I think we've had this season, as I think we seem to say almost every week.
Yeah, no, I think last week we just saw out-and-out action throughout, and this week we saw really just tense battling there at the finale. Great job by Evo to hold off Finn, really kept his nerve. But yeah, going on to that last few corners, I did think that Finn might have been able to work his way through, but Evo, yeah, just managed to hold it off. And RG Matiz in third will be ruining his little bit of contact that he had with Finn. What an interesting race, and what an interesting podium interview coming up. It could get rather feisty, I think, here.
Certainly could. Hopefully you can just invite those guys as I run through the final order there. Flying Finn just behind NR Evo as he was able to take home the race victory there. 1/10 of a second separated those two at the end. Unfortunately, obviously, that penalty that Flying Finn did pick up in those final few laps of the Grand Prix means he comes through for P2. RG Matiz, very, very frustrated, I'd imagine, with P3. SCSF will not, so P4, obviously after that big mistake in the second sector. Reynolds 5th, Ted 6th, Leopard 7th, Arctic Avengers 8th, Midget taking home BPRL's first point of the season in 9th. Monkey Face in 10th, Langman 11th. Then we have both Williams, the Toro Rosso, the Red Bull, the McLaren, and if I'm not mistaken, the other Red Bull, unfortunately, not able to make it right through to the very end of that race. But overall, I think everyone can agree that was a very, very exciting race. A lot of twists and turns, I think, over the course of the evening. And hopefully, we're able to get these three. Yes, we do. We have all three of them in here for the after-race interviews. And certainly, one of the spiciest races that we've had all season long. Evo, though, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you on your race victory there. Really, really good job from you. Just talk us through your race, buddy.
Oh, well, thanks. Oh, I didn't expect that, to be honest. I thought Matiz and Finn would battle it out for the end, but unluckily, Matiz got damaged, and then somehow I got through, and then just after that I picked up a penalty, and I thought it was over, but I have no words really. I just fucking sweated it out at the end there.
Exhausted.
Didn't think Finn had the penalty at the end though. Jeff didn't tell me.
Yeah, fair enough. So
oh my
very,
god.
very tense for you. James, mate, any questions to ask?
Well, no, it's just just a little bit about that end there. When you obviously you said it was really tough work, but did you think that you were going to have to really get your elbows out defending on the last few laps? And did the rain help you a little bit?
Not really. The rain made it even worse, to be honest. I was sliding everywhere. So, yeah. I had to go defenses like 2 times, maybe. The rain came really late. Yeah.
But congratulations once again there, buddy, on your race victory. Let's move on to P2 then. The Flying Finn, who obviously had a very, very interesting race. Seemed to be getting involved in a huge amount of the action. Just talk us through your race, buddy.
First of all, congratulations to Evo. He deserved that one, and to hold off at the end with the soft tyres going off as well. And we know like the harder the tyre, the better it does in damp conditions too. So I think one more lap would have been it for me, but the race was 35 laps and he managed to do the job. So fair play to him and congrats. But yeah, moving on. I don't know what to say really. I think Matiz needs to learn how to drive and learn how to race because his race car's awful. And yeah, I mean, there's the difference between driving hard and then dive bombing someone from half a second behind and pushing them off the track. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, you can say decent, mate. But like, you're gonna penalty for that, so don't worry.
But I probably will. That's the funny thing about it.
Yeah, it's
we'll see.
Well, yeah. I mean, you weren't even making the corner, but never mind. And yeah, so
no,
after that, just pretty sure he went off track, but anyway, yeah. So catching Evo down was hard. I thought he'd pull away, and I know like how good he is on the soft tires. Like he's always that guy that takes the softer tire longer, and yeah, he just did a good job. And second place, I'll take it, but just gutted for Sonic because I think he made a mistake, and he could have been first or second as well. So yeah, just move on to the next one, I guess.
James, anything else to wrap up?
No, I'm just getting the popcorn out really for for that one.
I think, yeah, hopefully there's enough popcorn to go around. But congrats once again, Finn, on P2, and then we move on to third place. RG Vitiz, just talk us through your race, buddy. There it seems once again, obviously, you were getting in a lot of the action there, especially with Finn.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say, Solly, you're a great guy, but on track, lately, I just think you've been a bit of a dickhead. So I have no hard feelings for you off track at all, but on track, I just feel like you just, I don't know, it's different than at the start.
Same goes to you, man. Like, for me, on my screen, you just pushed me off the
That's
track,
fair
and I
enough.
did the same in return.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
Anyways, I was behind Sully, like when he overcut me on the mediums, and because I was on the soft, so I was clearly faster, and I was like side by side with him like 3 times, and he just shoves me off the track every single time. Like I'm usually on the outside, and he just uses the entire track, literally no space for me to go. I just didn't understand it really.
Do you,
like,
when you
the
say
elbows
off
are on
track, do you mean?
steroids.
I mean,
Using the entire track.
Turn-
Your car.
I didn't do that. I only had turn 1. At turn
Alright,
2,
we'll see,
I will
mate.
always give you cars with on the outside, but you just backed out
We'll
or just
see.
hit my tire. But
Yeah, we'll see. It's
Yeah.
fine. And then in the last sector, like the right-hander, he was on the inside, and yeah, I mean, I'm not blaming him for that. Probably I have to watch it back, but I felt like he just parked it on the apex, had a little bit too much speed, barely hit him, and somehow knocked my wing off. So at this point, I was extremely pissed. And I just did a cheeky dive bomb into turn 1, which again, if what Solly did 3 times is fair, then that's fair as well. So can make of that what you want. But I'm just like, no disrespect to Solly or anything like that, but apart from that, I'm glad Eva won, because Eva is just an amazing driver, and he's had a lot of bad luck, and he really deserved to win this. So congratulations to both of you.
James, anything to add, buddy?
Well, yeah, I've just got to add that although obviously you two aren't especially happy with each other's driving, it made for a great stream. So thank you very much in that respect. That was yeah, really interesting to see that kind of fight to the death almost between you two. And yeah, we'll be back for more in Belgium.
Yeah, we can certainly hope for more action just like that over the next coming weeks. Well, obviously, as I said, next week there will be a break, and then just 1 week after that we will be back at the Belgian Grand Prix on, if I'm not mistaken, the 27th of February there. But thank you all to everyone that has came around. One more race for you this evening as we move over to the PS4 side. Hopefully, I don't know if Gorsh can drop links to that in chat. Potentially not. But as I said, thank you all so much for watching. Obviously, a brilliant race. Once again, congrats to our top 3, and Evo, obviously, on the race victory there. Tempers may fly off and on the circuit, but hopefully we can just see more brilliant close racing. Can only apologise as well for a couple of the stream issues in the middle, unfortunately. Just a couple of little momentary blips. And also I'd like to thank James as well for joining me in the commentary box.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you hopefully on the 27th for the Belgian Grand Prix.